at growing speculation that she used a moon bump during her pregnancy with Archie and or Lilibet. Of course, as we have tracked on this show for many months, the rumor has been gaining ground for very good reason.
5-inch, I always just wear my 5-inch pointy-toed stilettos. They're like, you have the most enormous bump, and your tiny little ankles are bracing themselves in these high heels, but all of my weight was in the front.
Right? Yes. But remember, like, as soon as we hung out, we're like, oh, this is so easy.
Oh my gosh, and margaritas and guacamole can do that.
It can do that.
It was just so nice because you would think, it's like, oh, great, let's connect. And then hours and hours later, I think you even changed your flight.
I did.
And we just had so much fun.
Oh, so much fun.
One video, one woman's truth. And now Harry and Meghan are in tears as the palace drops the proof no one saw coming about who really gave birth to their children. It was a moment that would shatter even the strongest resolve. Behind the grand façades and regal smiles, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle found themselves in the grip of a private nightmare. According to palace insiders, an urgent communiqué arrived at their Montecito estate, direct from Buckingham Palace, and what it allegedly contained left the couple in tears. For years, whispers circulated about Meghan's pregnancies, but this was something else entirely. Alleged proof, unquestionable, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. The message, reportedly backed by confidential documents and visual evidence, suggested something so incendiary it could topple everything Harry and Meghan have built, that the children known as Archie and Lilibet might not have been born of Meghan Markle's body. No more rumors, no more Reddit threads. This time, it was the crown itself that was raising questions.
Well, obviously reading things that she promises that she never reads, social media. Otherwise, she wouldn't have heard anything about it. So that's one. The second one is that I've had 3 babies.
From the beginning, something didn't sit right. Royal pregnancies follow a very public protocol. Hospital appearances, smiling couples with bundled-up newborns, royal doctors at the ready, and a press frenzy outside the Lindo wing. But when it came to Meghan Markle, none of the usual rules applied. There were no official hospital photographs, no team of royal physicians addressing the media, and no immediate post-birth appearances that could silence the growing tide of curiosity. Instead, Archie's arrival was announced with a cold clinical press release, devoid of details, devoid of joy. And when Meghan appeared just days later, her body was seemingly untouched, her energy exuberant, her figure camera-ready. It didn't match the image of a woman who had just given birth to a full-term baby.
And I have never, ever known anyone with one baby to have such an enormous stomach. She looks as if she's carrying quads. The other thing is that...
But the real firestorm erupted with one video. In it, Meghan appeared in a hospital setting, swaying her hips in an exaggerated, almost comedic dance. Observers were stunned not just by the inappropriateness, but by the shape and movement of her stomach. Too low, too round. And then it folded visibly as she sat. The internet exploded. Was it a moon bump? A silicone prop designed to mimic pregnancy? Conspiracies multiplied. Body language experts dissected every public outing. Meghan's bump changed size and shape depending on the angle and the lighting. Photos were zoomed in, frames slowed down, and gestures overanalyzed. What was once hushed skepticism had turned into a global side-eye, and people were no longer afraid to ask, was the pregnancy real?
Very peculiar, because as she went around then at the time going to engagements with Harry, she could bend right down, up and down.
Her name is being whispered from newsrooms to royal courtrooms. DL, a former surrogate, once silenced by ironclad non-disclosure agreements, has now stepped into the spotlight, and her story is blowing the lid off the most carefully protected royal narrative in recent memory. DL claims she was contracted by an elite surrogacy agency based in California, the kind that caters to celebrities, CEOs, and in this case, royalty. According to her, she carried both Archie and Lilibet, not just once, but twice. Not by accident, but by arrangement. And Meghan? DL says she wasn't just involved, she was orchestrating every step from the shadows.
And bend over to talk to a small child. You can't do that for your life. You haven't got the ability to come over a reasonable bump, let alone, you're probably not interested in this anyway.
No, it's fascinating.
She speaks of isolation so complete, it bordered on imprisonment. No outside communication, no visits, no celebration, just a schedule, a plan, a contract. DL alleges she was monitored around the clock and gave birth in a private facility shielded from the world. And after the births, no baby photos, no keepsakes, just a payoff and a warning. Vanish. What makes DL different isn't just her courage, it's her proof. Hospital documents sealed under alias names, ultrasounds, emails, schedules. And what's more, she claims Meghan rehearsed her public appearances during DL's final weeks of pregnancy, practicing her new mom glow while DL endured contractions in private. Now DL has had enough. She's stepping forward, not for fame, not for revenge, but for the truth. And she's doing it publicly. The woman behind the curtain is no longer hiding. DL's story might have been dismissed as fantasy, if not for the receipts. And those receipts? They're visual, verifiable, and downright bizarre.
Is the lack of weight elsewhere? We'll get reaction and analysis from our royal mastermind Angela Levin in just one moment, but first, listen to the evidence.
In that
Yes,
look, Meghan.
no.
So I was like staring at my pointy-toed shoes, and I'm like, you hurt my feet so bad. And then I'd look at my sneaker and I'd be like, yeah, I don't really want to wear you either.
It started with a clip that now lives in infamy. Meghan Markle, heavily pregnant, walking toward a camera, then suddenly sitting down only for her stomach to visibly fold, a sharp crease, a crumple, the kind of unnatural bend that doesn't happen with skin and muscle. It happens with silicone. Photos surfaced showing Meghan's belly looking dramatically different on consecutive days. In one, it sat high and round. In another, it slouched low and wide. Then came expert commentary, from Hollywood prosthetics artists to maternity wear designers, all pointing to the same conclusion. The shape was wrong. The movement was wrong. It looked like a costume. DL, who backed her claims with real paperwork, hospital records, ultrasound printouts, email chains with surrogacy coordinators, payment logs.
Interesting things about herself that she would hate anyone to know. But actually, being Meghan, it's actually fascinating that this is how she thinks about herself, how she thinks about other people, her children, her work, anything. She's no mentor. She hasn't got the patience.
Even messages from assistants who referred to the PR timeline and bump fitting. It was no longer just internet sleuthing. This was the structure. This was evidence. And the most dramatic twist? DL has volunteered publicly to undergo DNA testing. She wants the truth known. She dares Meghan and Harry to refute her with science. Because if that test matches, if DL is the biological mother of Archie and Lilibet, then what we're dealing with isn't a scandal. It's history. Shattered. DL isn't just telling a story, she's backing it with bulletproof receipts. And if what she's produced is legitimate, this isn't a tabloid circus anymore. It's a ticking legal bomb. Let's begin with the medical records. Not vague memories or convenient timelines, actual hospital logs, names, dates, signatures from licensed physicians. DL claims she underwent embryo implantation at a top-tier fertility clinic in Los Angeles. Multiple visits from late 2018 through mid-2019 are now documented in records that match Meghan's alleged pregnancy timeline exactly. These documents weren't pulled from an anonymous forum or dusty storage bin. They were leaked by a whistleblower from inside the clinic, someone who claims he watched a cover-up of global proportions unfold. Then came the ultrasounds.
And actually, she's not good enough.
No, very true. Angela, you know there are always these instructive moments within Confessions of a Female Founder, though, even if Meghan doesn't realise it. And for the first time, we have an acknowledgement, albeit in a sort of underhand way that she told complete porcupines. Do you remember when she used to say, oh, the royal family never wanted me to wear bright colours?
Grainy but time-stamped, DL's sonograms display her patient ID and gestational dates that eerily line up with Archie's 2019 and Lilibet's 2021 births. 2 pregnancies, 2 timelines, 2 royal babies. Still think it's a coincidence? Now layer in the money trail. DL has produced bank records, wire transfers, and deposits routed through shell companies in offshore jurisdictions. One such entity, according to journalists, shares a Cayman Islands address with a now-defunct Markle LLC. These aren't breadcrumbs. They're red flags waving in high definition. And perhaps most damning, a sealed NDA DL claims she signed under duress, with new legal advice suggesting the contract isn't valid across international borders. DL is speaking publicly and legally. And she's not done. She's offering a live DNA test. On camera, no games, no silence, no bluffing. What's perhaps most chilling in this entire saga isn't DL's story. It's the silence that follows it. The absolute deafening void from the couple who never miss a chance to set the record straight. Harry and Meghan, known for quick legal threats and strategic social media posts, have responded with nothing. No carefully worded denial, no sympathetic Instagram caption, no fiery attorney statement calling the allegations false, not even a vague PR deflection, just radio silence.
And I have never, ever known anyone with one baby to have such an enormous stomach. She looks as if she's carrying quads. The other thing is that...
And in today's hyper-connected world, silence doesn't protect. It screams. Social media has taken notice. Why haven't they denied it? Has become a trending topic. Former supporters, influencers, and media outlets that once defended the Sussexes have either gone quiet or begun raising questions themselves. The Sussex squad? Muted. Even their most vocal celebrity allies have chosen not to comment. Crisis managers call this strategic containment, but others see it as a white flag. Because if the allegations were false, wouldn't Meghan and Harry be shouting from the rooftops? Wouldn't lawsuits be filed before the ink dried on the headlines? Instead, all we hear is silence. A silence that suggests fear, or guilt, or both. For a couple who've built an empire on their narrative, the refusal to address this one publicly feels like surrender, and it's only an emboldening DL. The more the silence stretches, the louder her truth becomes. And the world is watching.
They were the ones that forced me to be in beige and be in white. Now, since Meghan's become a thing...
So people wouldn't notice me. People wouldn't notice me. That was it.
Yeah. But since she's become a thing, Angela, all she ever wears is beige and white, proving that it was just a total lie. I mean, I knew it was a total lie at the time, but her choices of outfits have always been her choice. They've been her choice then, they've been her choice now.
Waiting, listening to what isn't being said. While Montecito remains shrouded in quiet chaos, Buckingham Palace is anything but calm. Behind its gates, sources describe the atmosphere as volatile. This isn't just a PR headache. It's a constitutional crisis unfolding in real time. Because if DL's claims are proven true, if Meghan didn't give birth to Archie and Lilibet, then the children may not be eligible for royal titles or the line of succession. The monarchy is built on bloodlines, legitimacy, and tradition, and this potential deception strikes at the heart of all three. Senior royals are reportedly furious. Prince William, in particular, is said to be demanding answers, angry not just at the potential deceit, but at the risk this poses to the crown's integrity. King Charles, blindsided by the revelation, has called in legal and constitutional experts. Meetings are being held, advisors scrambling, damage control in motion, and then there's the matter of the children's titles, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, recently affirmed by the king himself. If the foundation of their claim is fraudulent, those titles could be revoked, not ceremoniously, quietly, legally, behind closed doors. Even more concerning, public funding allocated for their security and lifestyle, millions in taxpayer support, could be frozen.
Yes. But remember, like, as soon as we hung out, we're like, oh, this is so easy.
Oh my gosh, and margaritas and guacamole can do that.
It can do that.
It was just so nice because you would think, it's like, oh, great, let's connect. And then hours and hours later, I think you even changed your flight.
I did.
And we just had so much fun.
Oh, so much fun.
This is no longer about family drama. This is about the future of the monarchy. And the question no one wants to answer: if the Sussexes lied about something this monumental, what else have they lied about? For Prince Harry, the burden is becoming unbearable. The once proud son of Diana, the soldier prince, the rebellious royal-turned-freedom fighter, is now a man unraveling behind palace-sized doors. Sources close to the Sussexes describe Harry as emotionally wrecked, isolated, and visibly aged under the strain. Meanwhile, Harry is spiraling, caught between loyalty to his wife and fear of what the truth might mean. He's haunted by the idea that his entire identity as a father could collapse, haunted by the headlines, the betrayal, the possibility that he was kept in the dark, or worse, that he knew and played along. For a man who walked away from the royal family to protect his own, the irony is brutal. He may have walked away from one palace, only to find himself trapped in another, built not on truth, but on a lie. The British monarchy has survived wars, divorces, abdications, even Netflix. But this is something else entirely. DL's DNA test has shifted the entire narrative from suspicion to legal confrontation. This is no longer about gossip. This is about lineage, law, and legitimacy. And for Harry and Meghan, their empire would implode. Their global brand, built on authenticity, victimhood, and family values, would be scorched. Their Netflix deals, memoirs, and interviews, all suddenly steeped in deceit. Every speech about maternal strength, every interview about carrying retroactively tainted. Worse, legal consequences could follow. Fraud, perjury, misuse of royal privileges. Even child custody could come into question if legal lines were crossed during the surrogacy arrangement. DL's legal team has made it clear they're coming for answers, and they're prepared to depose both Meghan and Harry under oath. If true, the Meghan pregnancy scandal wouldn't just be a royal embarrassment. It would be a betrayal of historic proportions, bigger than Wallis Simpson, more explosive than Diana's BBC interview. A deception designed not just to manipulate headlines, but to manipulate history. That taxpayers funded protection for children who may not have qualified under royal law. The public would feel cheated, lied to, and angry. Not because of the surrogacy, but because of the cover-up. Because the story they sold wasn't one of modern motherhood or unconventional choices. It was one of authenticity, resilience, and love. What happens if the test confirms DL's truth? What happens if the children Harry and Meghan presented as heirs to the Windsor legacy were born of someone else? Courtroom battles may follow, public apologies, royal corrections, titles reversed, deals revoked. The House of Windsor will be forced to confront a scandal that doesn't just threaten its future, it rewrites its past. And just like that, the royal story they built may be the lie that brings it all crashing down.